Okay, I'm hoping by this point that you have completed your quadratic regression, and I'm hoping that you're looking at something similar to what I have on my screen here. What we're going to do from here is we're going to take a look at the graph, and what you're going to find, and what you probably found when you drew your scatter plot, is that you're not really seeing a lot of what's going on here. So if you click on the graph here, like I have, you should be probably looking at something like this. Now we know that we fit a quadratic model here, so that means that the data should be looking like a parabola. Now the problem is that because our data is so restricted, we're only seeing a very small part of that. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to expand the area that we're looking at by adjusting the window. So we can click on window right here, and I'm just going to run through what each of these are. Xmin gives us the minimum value for the x-axis, and Xmax gives us the maximum value for the x-axis. So in this case, it starts at 1.93 and runs to 2.77, which is in this case in dollars and cents, and this really doesn't give us a very large range. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to open that up a little bit more. So I'm just going to start it at 0, and what I'm going to also do is to have it run up until, well, let's run it all the way up until 6. So now we'll be looking at prices for these hot dogs between $0 and $6. Okay, the next row here says XSCL. That's just telling us the scale of the x-axis. In this case, it's set to 0.1, which means that it's going to give us a little notch every 0.1, which in this case is going to be every 10 cents. So that's fine, that works out. Let's leave the Y-min and the Y-max as they are for now, and just take a look at what we can see if we hit graph again. So far all we've done is we've changed the x-axis, and we're getting close. So now we can see the parabola rise. It kind of disappears there, and then we can see it fall back down. But what we're really interested in here is that max. So that max profit, which, as you might remember from previous grades, is the vertex of this parabola. So what we're going to do is go back into window, and we're just going to make this Y max a bit bigger. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, let's try 300. So we change the Y max to 300, and now we graph again. And there we go. We let it run, and we can now see the top of the parabola, and we know that right here, where my mouse is hovering, is the maximum profit. Now, that's all well and good, but I don't know about you, but if I look at this, I can't tell what any of those numbers are. So this is the last thing that I want to show you at this point, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually determine what this max value is. To do that, we click second, and then up here on over the trace button, we want to calculate. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the maximum value. So we scroll down to here, and we select the maximum by hitting enter. And what we have now is we have a little point that we can run along the parabola here, and here we go. So I stop it up at the top. I take a look down here. It tells me that my x value is at 3.8. We would round that to 3.83, and the y value is 290.33. So what this tells me is that the maximum price I can charge for a hot dog to maximize my profits is $3.83, and my max revenue in this case will be $290.33. Okay, so that's essentially how this works. And again, I can continue to move this along. I can just hold down the arrow here, and it will just give me other values on the parabola as well. But the one we were interested in is getting it right on top there at the vertex, and there it is. Okay, so again, that is how we can determine the max value or the value of the vertex for one of these parabolas.